What's up guys, welcome back. In this video we're going to be doing some GraphQL. Now I was going to make this video yesterday and I tried to make this video yesterday, but I had a really hard time setting up associations because I was just doing flat out the wrong way the whole time. So this is how you're doing associations. I did figure it out after about, I think the video was like 24 minutes long. I figured out how to do associations. But I don't expect you to watch the whole video because that's way too long for a couple lines of code. So I'm going to review right now what I did to change. The code's going to be on GitHub if you want to get it. Now if you don't know what this is or what I'm talking about at all, this is a template I have for GraphQL. It's a Node.js server that opens up a GraphQL endpoint that allows you, it's a GraphQL server I'm setting up in Node. It's a template I like to use for setting up, and basically I'm expanding on that. So I have the basics set up, and now I'm going to show you how to do some things with Sequelize with it and make some queries. And what we're going to do in this video is actually create a little like suggestion board. So we have a board suggestion table, and then we have a user table. So real quick, I'm going to just run through the relations and how they work. So we have users who can create boards, so that is a one-to-many relationship. A user can create multiple boards, and that's what this is doing right here, user.hasMany. And to create the association, you do the name of your table and then .associate, and then you do this function here. And inside of that, you actually do all your relations. And we're also doing a hasMany relationship with suggestion. So users can create suggestions that go on boards. So you'll see another relationship between boards and suggestions. And a user can create multiple suggestions, so that's a one-to-many as well. Now you see how we have foreign keys right here. This is just the name of the foreign key. So if we look at the board object, or the board table, there'll be an owner field which points back to user. And I can just show you guys that real quick. So I go into PSQL, I can then connect to the database, which is, I think it's test GraphQL is what I called it. And if I do select all from, and then the table name is boards, you can see I have an owner. And you would see the same thing if we did it for the suggestion. We'd have a creator ID. So that's what these names are right here. Okay, so now board, we just gave it a name field, and then this has a hasMany relationship with board, which is one-to-many. With suggestion. So a board contains multiple suggestions. A board can have 10 or so suggestions, or as many as it wants, really. And then there's just suggestion, which is a plain just text, and that basically that's attached to a board and has an owner. Okay, so those are all our objects. We add associations to them. You'll notice I add an association to board the same way I did with user. And then once I did that, once I add multiple, models or tables, we import them all. We do Sequelize import, kind of how like we were doing user before. And we don't need these console logs anymore. And you should have a commented out thing here. And also, I forgot to mention, if you don't have the code for this template, it's in the description below if you want it. Anyway, in the code I had this commented out, decommented it, and this is what creates the association. Okay, so you guys are all caught up, and that's what I did yesterday. And I'll put the video in the link description below if you want to watch that video too. Okay, so we have this set up. What are we doing next? Well, I'm just going to pop up over here to terminal, quit out of PSQL, we're not going to need that right now. And I'm just going to do an ls to show you guys we're in the folder of this project, and I'm just going to do npm start. We set up node daemon, and so we're just going to let that run and run our server. Okay, cool. So now we can actually set up our schema. So what I like to do is I like to first set up the database, like so. I just create all these tables. Then I like to go to the schema, create my types, and then I like to create resolvers. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to create two types here. We already have our user type. And I guess we should put these above. It makes more sense. Type is going to be board. And our board is going to have a name, which is a string that cannot be null. That's what the exclamation mark does. And then the board is going to have suggestions, and that's going to be an array of type suggestions. So we need to create a suggestion type. So let's do type suggestion, and suggestion is just going to have text, which is a non-null string. Okay, and this is going to have a creator ID, which is a string, and actually what we can do, we can just get the creator, and this is going to be a user. So we can get the creator of the suggestion, and that's going to be a user. And then board has a lot of suggestions, and then our user, and actually for board we can get owner as well, which is a user. And then for user we can get a board, or we can get boards. So this is an array of all the boards they own. Board. And they can get suggestions too. This will be a list of all suggestions that they've ever added. Okay, so I think this is pretty good for our types here. I'm not going to worry about setting up all these CRUD operations for each one. You guys kind of saw how I did the CRUD operations for users. If you didn't, that's in a previous video. I'll put a link in the description if you want to learn how to do these CRUD operations. I'm just going to do basically the minimum that I'm going to need to do. So for this, we can keep all these create, user, update, delete. We'll do create. I'm not going to worry about update and delete. I'm just going to do create for each type. So create board. So to create a board, we're going to need to do a user. And for now, we're going to get more. I want to make a video in the future that gets more sophisticated with authentication and stuff. Right now, we'll just pass in the username, which is what we'll how we associate the user to the board. So this is going to be a string, and what we could do is instead, I guess this is better, is user ID, and I guess we could do either. Let's just do username will be easier for now. And then the second part is going to be the actual name of the board, which is a string, and then out pops out a board. And then we can do the same thing for a suggestion. So username of the user that's creating it, and then the text for the suggestion. And then we can have a mutation for add suggestion. Or okay, when we create a suggestion, we're actually tying it to a board. So we need to also pass a board ID. This needs to be an ID because we could have two boards with the same name, I suppose. Or as a user, the username is going to be unique. Okay, so we're passing the board in, and that's pretty much all we need, I think, for those two. And now we're going to do all queries for the rest of this. So we have get user here. Let's just get all boards for a username. Actually, we'll do user boards string. And this will be board. And then here we can do user suggestions, username, string, pass back. And that should be an array of boards. And here we should be an array of suggestions. Okay, I think this is pretty good. I'll come back if there's anything I'm missing. I think this is a decent start, and this will all be able to show the nested types, how this works, because user is going to get board has suggestions, which can get suggestions, which then can get a creator, and you can see there'll be like a little loop actually that we're creating. Alright, so let's go to our resolvers. So there's two types that we created that are going to need resolvers. We'll actually do those last because it'll make more sense if we do them last. So I'm just going to pull this side by side so this will be easy to see, and let's scoot you over. So okay, I don't want resolvers over here. I would like to have the schema, and we'll have resolvers. Okay, so let's do and we can squish this over because I really just need to see a little bit of the schema. So let's do user boards. So this is going to be a query. We can copy this because it's going to be very similar. User boards. So it's going to take two parameters. Nope, sorry, just one parameter, username. And we're going to do this one. We're not finding one. We're doing find all. And the type, as you can see, we're going to be returning boards. You can't see it, but that's where we are. So we'll use the board model. And we're finding all boards where the username is username. And that's it. And we do the same thing for suggestion. And actually, this will not work, guys. And I'll tell you why in a second. I'm just going to fill out user suggestions because that's basically what we want to do in the same thing. Suggestion. Oops. So there's not actually a username field for board, right? The only thing we have on board is the owner ID, right? So if we come back to, we actually do need the schema back up, board, and then user. So the board has an owner, and this is actually a foreign key back. So to make this easy, we're actually going to change this back. We'll pass in the owner, and we can just look it up by owner. And here we can pass it in by creator, pass in the creator ID. We'll just do a direct lookup, creator ID. So we're going to want to come back and change this. So instead of username, I'm going to use owner here, and instead of this, I'm going to do creator ID for my schema. Okay, so these two queries should be working. Now let's do mutations so we can actually see them. Delete user. Doesn't matter. Okay. And actually, same thing, guys. We're actually going to just so notice for create board, we're taking in a username and a name again. Owner is really what we want now that we're looking at it. In this, we want a creator ID. And that we can actually just do the exact same thing, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm thinking this is going to work. And suggestion here as well. And this is going to be board, and this is going to be suggestion. Okay, let's close this down. Now we're going to be done with this page. So we're getting the args creator and, sorry, this is going to be owner and name. And that's all we need to create a board. And then for this, we're getting whatever params are in the schema, these three, and those are the three parameters that we really need. And we're just passing them in to create. Okay, so I think we're pretty good, and I'll show you guys why there's one slight problem with what we have right now. We're missing a couple of things. So let's start with some mutations. So I'm going to create a user first so we can get this started. So I'm going to call this admin. This is going to be our main user here. And we failed to fetch. Let's see what we're doing. I think we might just have a schema difference. Define field map. I was wondering about that. I have actually no idea what this error is about. Let's just double check our schema. Okay, so we have create suggestion, create board, and this should just be, oops, create suggestion, create board. This is user suggestions, user board, user boards, user suggestions. Did I do user boards? Yep, I did. Okay, spelling looks right on all of these. That's usually the biggest thing that gets me. Create board, okay. This is odd. So I'm going to do the same thing as I usually do when a bug like this comes up. I'm just going to go one by one, comment out. So create suggestion. You can't really comment out. What the heck? Oh, username. Okay, all these went back to username all of a sudden. I wonder if that's causing a problem. I actually just clicked undo, and because I'm using a Vim plugin for this, it sometimes is a little wonky, as we just saw. I don't think owner is what's causing the problem though. Should get a new problem now. Okay, I don't even think this restarted. Is it not watching? Because we definitely just saved stuff. So if I get rid of those, should get a new problem. Definition field map. What is field map? I want to just like get rid of all of these. I'm thinking it has to be a problem with one of our types. So I want to get rid of all of these and see. All right, let's see what's going on. Yeah, it doesn't like that. All right, let's come back, uncomment, or put back. So there's a problem with one of our types. I'm thinking it's because I'm trying to reference the user type, and the user type's down here. And the user type hasn't been made yet. But I could be wrong. But then this user type uses a board. So we have basically circular references right now. So I think what we're going to do to solve this is just get rid of those two for now and see if that goes away. No. So what the heck is going on? So the definition, get fields. Man, I really think it's one of these types. I'm going to get rid of all these more complicated types. All those are more complicated because they're referencing another type. And okay, this makes. So okay, it doesn't like one of the types. Let's put this back. Oh, okay, good. It comes back. I was afraid it wasn't going to come back. Okay, so I'm going to put this back. And we're just going to, again, do the same thing. Okay, so we have these three. We should be crashing. Oh, I haven't saved, that's why. I was like, we should be crashing because I put the types back. Cool. Get rid of that. Still crashing. Okay, so we have two. Oh, wow. Where did my user type go? I actually didn't, just delete it. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of those. Now we should be working, right? Yep. Okay, so I'm going to put this one back, see if it's working. It is. I'm going to put those two back, and we expect this not to work. And I'm going to, oops. I'm going to bring it down below here. And we get a problem again. Let's get rid of both of them. Refresh. It makes. I'm gonna put it back. I mean, both of them look like they're the same thing. Get rid of suggestions. Oh, interesting. Is suggestions causing this to crash? Okay, notice there's a crash, guys. Get rid of suggestions here. Works. Is it because there's a name? Oh my gosh. Silly mistake. Always kills you. Always kills you. Alright. Let's pump this back out again. These should be ints. I don't know if I had them as ints before. They should be ints. Okay. Cool, it builds. Like I was saying earlier, guys, so let's create a user. I'm going to show you there's a small problem what we have right now. Okay, so I have user ID 1. That's what we're going to be using for things. And if you guys don't remember, I'm just at localhost 3000, at GraphQL that allows you to do this. So let's create a board. Oh, let's refresh. It's not auto-completing. Okay. Owner is going to be 1. And, oh, I guess it's fine that it's a string. Oh no, it should be an int. Cool. And what is the other thing I was supposed to do? Is there auto? Yes, there is. Oops. Notice how this little sticker stays up there. Name is going to be first board. So we're going to create that. Must have a selection of subfields. Did you? Oh yeah. And we'll just put ID. And all of these should have IDs. ID, which is an int. Okay, cool. Alright, so we created this board. Awesome. So now I'm going to show you the problem that we have. And actually, let's create a suggestion on this. So we have creator ID is going to be 1, first suggestion, and then board ID is going to be 1. Alright. Unknown argument for create. Unknown argument name. Oh, this should be text. Cool. Created that. So now when we do a query, and for example, let's get user. Username is going to be admin. Notice what one of the types here is, boards. Alright, let's get all the boards that admin has. And of course, you have to select subfields, so let's get the ID. I'm going to have to refresh to get that to work. The name and the suggestions. In the suggestions, I want to get the ID. The text. And yeah. I'm going to just copy that, refresh, so it auto-completes better. And I'm just going to run that. And oh, look at that, we get a null exception. Let's look at why this could be happening. So how are we actually doing get user? Well, get user here, we find a user and we just return a user, right? With this find one. Well, in our schema, when we find a user, which we see right here, they have this board in the suggestion attribute. And we actually need to set stuff up to actually be able to access these. Because when we return a user, it's only going to have these fields, but we want them to have this field and this field only sometimes though. And that's where it's kind of like it's a nested type in there, and so you can do something like this. So you put your user type here, similar to how you have a query. You know, you got your query type. Oops. You have your query type right here. You can have a user type in this outer section too. And then you do boards. Just like you have here. And this function is responsible for getting all the boards that a user has. And we'll create suggestions too. So this takes the same thing, parent, args, and then models. And what we need to do is we need to return the boards for that user and suggestions. Parent, args, models. Now the same thing with a board. With our board, we want to get we want to get suggestions, right? So we're going to need to do the same thing. And we can also, just for the sake of this suggestion, we can actually just get the username easily. Create our username, we'll say. So down our resolver over here, we get create, we can have suggestion here, and we can get creator username. Alright, now we can just fill these out. So for this first one, we want to get boards, so we're going to do board here. And then what we want to do is we want to find all, and here we're going to do a where. And what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for all the boards where the ID is equal to the user ID, the owner is equal to the user ID. Well, how do we get the user ID? Well, that's where this parent argument comes in. Parent.id is what we can get it. Oops. And let's close that, close that, close that. Reformat. We're going to have to reformat quite a few things. Let's return here 5, 5. I'm just getting rid of the errors, and then I'll explain what the heck is going on. Okay, we still have, I would expect this to reformat if we did it correctly. Use a comma. Okay, there we go. Okay, so for a user, these fields are passed into the parent. So this parent has an ID username created at updated field. So we're going to use that ID to fetch owner. And we're going to do the same thing here. Models dot suggestion dot find all. And here's going to be creator ID. Cool. Those two are good. Now here with board, we're going to do similar stuff. So we're going to do models.suggestions. Actually, we can copy this because it's basically that. But here, we're not getting creator ID, we're getting it from board ID, which we get board ID. And actually, no, it's not. It's actually just straight ID. I actually like breaking this out. Let's do that here too, because then we don't have to do another call. Awesome. And now for suggestion as well. So we're going to do models.user.find1 now, because we're not returning an array, remember. Where, so here we want to get the username of the user that has the suggestion. So what we want to do is actually, this is cool, I can show you guys async await like I told you guys. So we're going to make this an asynchronous function here. So here we're going to get a user, and we're going to do a wait. And here, let's put this, let it reformat. Okay, cool. So models.user.find1, we want to get it where the ID is equal to creator ID. Actually, let's refactor this. Creator ID. Alrighty, so what the heck is going on here? I put this async thing here, I put await here. What is going on? So async await is a way to do this is a new JavaScript thing that makes it kind of nice to do, you know, asynchronous calls. So this is an async call right here that we are making to the database, and when we put a wait right here, that means we wait for it to finish. So we're actually getting the return object of user. We're getting a user back. We can actually just grab the username from the user and then return username. So that's really nice, right? And so this is equivalent to doing something like this. Then x is equal to x.username. But async await is so much more beautiful. And it's also much nicer when you have multiple of these that you need to do. Which I actually want to show you some cool things in the future where I do like a double, 2 calls at once that go in parallel. Some cool stuff is going to be coming out soon with this stuff. But okay, we're all done with this. And notice how this is kind of weird, how this is working, but I'm going to show you the beauty of this and why it's actually nice. Because notice each one of these is a database call, and it's an extra database call. But what's really important about it is we don't make that database call if they don't ask for it. Like if I'm just getting my user and I don't want to get the board, I just want to get, say, my username as the user, even though I have the user here, you know, maybe they wanted to create it at, or whatever they wanted, they could just get that. And they're not doing the extra database calls to get boards and to get suggestions. But when I do this, we are doing database calls. So it basically just, and you can notice, look at this chain down. And now here I can even chain this one more level and get the creator username. So copy, refresh, get that creator username, and you can see that's admin right here. And you could add more suggestions, and you could get more boards, and you can see it just stack, and you can see it chain all the way down. So that's really cool. I'm gonna do like just a quick rework of this and show you. I'm kind of curious myself to see if this can go like full circle. So, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So in suggestion here, instead, what if we just put creator and we pass back a user? I'm going to see if that crashes it. Creator username, define a resolver, okay. And we'll call this user, and that'll be lowercase. Suggestion.user, oh, I call it creator. There we are. Alright, so that seems to work okay. And now we don't need to make this async. And now I can just return that. Put a comma here. Awesome. And now here, refresh. And the reason I'm refreshing is because if you notice with GraphQL, it auto-completes, and so when the server restarts, you also need to restart here to get that new autocomplete. So creator, and now at the creator, notice this is the same object we had up here. So I could get the boards, which then get the ID, the name, the suggestions, which then I could get the ID and the text. Okay, whoa, I've never done this before. Look at all this nested junk that's happening. We get first board inside of board. I don't know if you guys are following this because this is actually getting pretty deep. Let me just try to explain what just happened. So we have an admin user, right? The admin user, I'm getting all the boards the admin has. One of the properties of boards is suggestions. We're getting the suggestions that's on each one of the boards. So one of the suggestions is first suggestion. And then I'm getting the creator for suggestions, which happens to be admin. Let's print out the username here, which happens to be admin here. And admin here has some boards. And we can get the boards. And actually what's cool about this, and that's why, and then we're just repeating, right? Because from this creator guy is him, so now we're getting his stuff again. But what if we have a suggestion from a different user? Then we could get the boards that user grabs. So you can see it can chain, and it can be really cool. But that's it for this video, guys. This might be a little bit confusing if you've never seen it before. I recommend trying it out, and once you code it, it starts to make a little bit more sense. And let me know if you have any more questions. You can leave a comment below. I'd be happy to help you guys out. And I have a lot of cool stuff that's going to be coming out in the future with GraphQL, so stay tuned. I'm going to be doing some more async await. I'm going to be doing some, I really want to do some parallel calls, so you can make your database calls faster, happen in parallel, get faster response times, and then doing some data loader things. If you don't know what data loader is, stay tuned. It's going to be pretty sweet. It's going to save a huge amount of hits to the database. It's a cool library from Facebook. Lots of cool stuff coming out. So stay tuned, guys. Hit the subscribe button below if any of that stuff interests you, so you can get notifications when it's out. And that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching.